All right. So before I did, let me give you guys a list of all the jobs that I had. Okay. So my very first job ever, when I was like 15, I worked for my neighbor, who actually, technically my very, 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 very first job was when I was like 8 years old. I remember helping my mom with a paper out, which is where you threw the newspaper up to the door or whatever. I was like 8 years old, and she had that as an extra job because we were like kind of broke and she needed extra money, but she would bring, you know, me with her, and I would help her, you know, drop the paper off at everyone's, you know, in front of their doors and shit. That was when I was like really young. That doesn't really count. Okay. My first job just for me though, was when I was like 15. I worked for my neighbor. Okay. And she owned like a publishing company, so I would help her with all the bookkeeping and shit like that. I hated it. I think she had a nice heart, but man, she was kind of looks left, looks right. She was kind of a bitch. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Old ass, man. Old white lady, man. She just, I don't know. God. Okay, anyway. My first real job that I like had to clock in and like, you know, had a job interview and like an actual company establishment. I worked at a grocery store. That was when I was 16, okay? Worked at a grocery store. I pushed carts. I was a cashier. I started pushing carts and like just bagging groceries. And then basically, does anybody know what like a Kroger is? It's like a Kroger has like a lot of different, for example, okay, so there's Kroger some places. Kroger owns all of these. But in like Las Vegas, for example, it's called Smith's. In like Colorado, it's called King Soopers. Basically all of these stores are under the umbrella of Kroger. They're just called different things in different places. Okay. Anyway, I used to work there, and that was like my first job, right? And I was going through my shit. I don't know how I found this. I found my name badge from when I worked there, bro. Look at this old thing, bro. This was my name badge when I worked at the grocery store a long time ago. And honestly, seeing this, it like triggered memories, bro. And look at the back. Look how dusty it is, because basically the pin broke off and I remember I had to glue it back on. Old ass, dirty ass thing, bro. But this was my first name badge, and the reason it says I love gaming is because you had to like say one interesting fact about you or just something about you to put on your name badge, and that was my name badge. So it's just like the fact things came full circle and like what I get to do now for a living, and like this was my name badge. Like you had to have like a talking point on your on your badge. So what's he saying? I got an ad as soon. I never manually activate ads, by the way. I never manually do that. Did you reach out to me on Discord, or is it a faker? It's a faker. Do not reply. How long did you work there? I started when I was 16. I worked there when I was 16, 17, 18, and I think I left when I was 18. So about 3 years. I might have started there when I was 15. But I went through all the ranks, man. Like you name it, I did it. Like I had clean bathrooms there. I worked at a different time because like if I go from this to this, it sounds nasty. I worked in the produce department at one point. I was a supervisor at one point. They was trying to lock me in for life. That's what they try to do, man. They try to get people to, you know, stay forever. And there was a lot of, honestly, it scared the fucking shit out of me when I had coworkers who, and you know, this is no disrespect to them because they were super nice people, but like I had some older coworkers who would say shit like, oh yeah, I've been working here for like 40 years and I'm about to retire. Or like I've been working here for 30 years. And that's really cool. Like I think that's really good because you found a living, you found a lane. But for me, that scared the fucking shit out of me. Cause I was like, are they gonna get me too? Like low key, I don't know why. Again, the overthinking thing. I was like, damn, is this like, did these people once want to like do something more and then like they just got complacent? I don't know. It used to scare me, man. What store did you work at? It was like a Kroger. You seen the dream. Appreciate the 5 gifteds. Those coworkers didn't retire. They recycled into self-checkout machines probably. Nah, it's actually crazy because some of them still work there. And again, they're content with what they do. So like one thing that I'll never do, because even if a job is like, oh fuck no, for me, somebody's comfortable in that lane and like they're okay with it and like they're making an honest living and they're happy with what they do. So I'll never belittle what somebody else does for you know, their grind, their hustle to like put food on the table. Yassine, again, appreciate you, bro. If you got gifted a sub by Yassine, thank that man right now. Hope you're doing well, bro. I work with like 8 people that are 60 to 70 years old. That shit is gnarly. Yeah. And again, like what's crazy to me is wondering what that environment was like fucking 30, 40 years ago. Like it was probably completely different, or maybe it was the same. It just makes me wonder about that. I worked there for like 3, maybe like 4 years. Because I keep saying 16, but I might have been 15. Because I remember at first I had to wear like a yellow name tag. Because if you were under the age of 16, I think you had to wear a yellow badge to like identify like you're a kid, pretty much. And you're not allowed to like sell cigarettes and shit like that or something like that. I don't know. No matter where I work, I have pride in what I do, no matter how odd it is. See, that's the thing. Like, thing about me, not to gas myself, but like if I'm in it, I try to like be really good at it. I try to be the best at it, which is why they kept trying to like promote me and stuff like that, because like I was good at my job. You know what I'm saying? And then after I worked at the grocery store, again, I was like 18. I moved on and I started working at a bank, which is just so anti my personality. But worked at a bank. That job I was miserable. I'm not gonna lie. The grocery store, I actually kind of liked it. There's people around my age who I like maybe went to school with, like high school with and stuff like that, who would either work there or they would stop by there and like you say what's up to people, and like it was a cool vibe. But the bank, oh my god, I didn't see nothing but like, because banks depend on like your clientele depends on your location, right? And the location I was at was like heavy like business and stuff like that, real estate motherfuckers. I was just so out of my element. It was just nothing but like, I was by far the youngest motherfucker working there. I was by far the youngest motherfucker that anyone would see who would frequent the bank, because everyone was probably like 40 plus. You know what I'm saying? And that shit was just not my vibe, bro. And it was just like all like older. And I'm just using this to just, you know, give you a visual. It's not a problem that they were all white, but I was one of the few brothers in that area. It was just not my vibe. I only worked there for like 10 months before I was like, man, I gotta jump ship. And then I ended up working at 2K. Very long story short. You still play Xenoverse 2? Hey guys, Zeus Gogo asked if I still play Xenoverse 2. Who gonna tell him? Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, Savage Master. Sean, appreciate the 35 months. To answer you, Zeus Gogo, I literally just posted a Xenoverse video today. How did you land the 2K job? Okay, so 2K is interesting because I think right when you think of game development, you automatically think like, okay, I'm coding. Okay, I'm 3D modeling. Okay, I'm getting mocap and shit like that. But really, that totem pole is very long. There's a lot of different cogs in the wheel of game development. Okay, so the entry level, if you have no degree, if you have, you know, no sort of credentials, no background work, the entry level position to just get your feet in the door is quality assurance. Quality assurance is like, obviously you need like some, like they're not just gonna hire anybody, but like you need some sort of minor qualifications, but you don't need like a fucking degree. You know what I mean? Anyway, so again, I was working at the bank and I remember I was on my lunch break, and because again, there's deep roots here. I used to work at a grocery store, and then I had to say a fun fact about me. I love gaming, right? That's always been my shit. But what I really wanted to do is make my own video games. I wanted to start my own video game development company. I have a bunch of stories that I want to tell in some sort of medium, whether it's video games, comic books, a show, an anime. I have a story, right? Anyway, story for another day. But with that in mind, I was like, okay, let me try to do this the right way. So I'm backing up a little from the 2K thing, but I'll lead to it. I've told the story before, but fuck it. Tell it again. So I was going to school for computer science because in my head, I was like, oh, I'll just learn everything I need to learn about, you know, computers and stuff like that. And, you know, I'll learn how to program and I'll make my own video game from scratch. Okay. I'll just be a fucking god with the shit. Okay. That computer science shit is a motherfucker. And I was doing fine. Basically, I was in my second year of college for computer science. And I just saw my debt stacking up because like you can check your debt. And like, I'm just seeing the numbers go up for like these books and whatever. And again, my overthinking, I get in my own head and I'm just like, I think it was when I was taking this I don't remember the specific class, but I was taking some random class and it had nothing to do with game design, but it was a required class for the degree. So I was like, what the fuck does this have to do with game? Like, why am I doing this? Right? What the fuck is this song, by the way? Okay. I was like, why am I doing this class? And I had like a moment where I was just like, all right, I'm getting in debt. I'm taking a class that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. What the fuck am I doing? And then it hit me. I'm like, bro, every job that I've had, I worked at a grocery store and I go crazy and they want to promote me, right? And then I work at a bank. I'm going crazy. As much as I hated the job, I was going crazy in a good way. And they wanted to promote me. So I went from being just a bank teller where I have to stand up behind a counter all day to having my own desk, to they're talking about trying to get me to like become a loan officer and stuff like that. Basically, no matter what job I'm at, I'm able to like thrive, right? So it just kind of hits me. I'm like, bro, okay, what if I apply that same logic except at a video game company? Like if I just work at a video game company in the industry, then I can just work my way up and then eventually learn how to make video games for myself. So that was kind of my mentality. So I was like, all right, well, next question, can I get in the video game development industry? I had no idea where to even look, but everything is just a Google search away, right? So I go on Google and I just type in, well, first I look up what like an entry level position would be for video game company. And quality assurance was kind of like the universal answer. So I just look up quality assurance jobs literally all over the country. I'm on Indeed, I'm on whatever job websites, and I shit you not, I probably applied to like 50 different companies. None of them in the city that I live in. None of them in the city that I live in. And again, I have no qualifications really. I'm just applying to all these places. I'm like, all right, wherever hires me or gives me a chance, then that's where I'm gonna move. Okay. By the way, I didn't mention it, but my story about college, I ended up dropping out because I just felt like, I see so many horror stories of people like, oh, I'm 50 years old, I'm still paying off my college debt. I'm like, nigga, what? Fuck that. Okay, so I just did not want to be one of those. So I ended up dropping out of college in my second year. Yeah, so I applied to all these different jobs because I feel like the best experience you can get for almost any job is hands-on, like real life work experience in the actual industry that you're interested in. So yeah, again, applied to all these places and I was like, wherever hires me, again, none of them were in the city that I lived in. Wherever hires me, I'm just gonna move there. I'm like, I don't have any responsibilities. At this time, I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no like significant other. You know what I'm saying at this time? I'm free. Like, why would I not? Like, you get, there's a small window where you really have no responsibilities. You know what I mean? I was still living at my mom's house. And I was like, bro, if I'm gonna do something adventurous, if I'm gonna take a leap, then now's the time. And the movie that really, there was a movie that like really motivated me to like take the leap, because I had it in my mind for a bit, but it's this movie called Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Ben Stiller in it. That movie kind of helped. Again, I would have done it anyway, but that movie really like gave me the fire to just fucking take that leap, right? It's a good movie if you haven't seen it. So I remember one day I'm working at the bank and I go to lunch break. No, I'm not even at lunch. I get a call while I'm sitting at my desk. Cause again, at this time I have my own desk. I'm like I help people set up new accounts and shit like that. I get a call on my phone and it's a Las Vegas number. And I'm like, that could be something good. So, hey, Kay's Cadney. Appreciate the 5 gifted subs, bro. Thank you if you got gifted a sub by Kay's Cadney. Thank that man. There's 5 of you. I should see at least 3 thank yous. R2M Natty, appreciate the 2 years, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Okay, so I get that call and I'm like, that's weird. I don't know nobody in Las Vegas. And then the light bulb flashes in my head. So I just very quickly tell my supervisor, who's like at the desk behind me, I'm like, hey, I just got to run to the bathroom real quick. I don't go to the bathroom. I leave the building. I just walk out the building and I take the call. Okay. And it's 2K. And they're like, hey, we can give you an interview. I think it was a Tuesday that they called me. And they were like, hey, we can give you an interview, but you have to be here on, or we only have one available on Wednesday, or a slot open on Wednesday, or some shit like that. So I was like, because they didn't know I didn't live in state. They didn't know I didn't live in state. They thought that I was probably like nearby, like up the street or some shit. And I didn't make any excuse. I didn't want to tell them that I didn't live there because I didn't want them to think like I'm not a good choice because I might flake or some shit. So they didn't even know where I was. Actually, they saw my resume. They probably could have seen where I was, but basically I made no fuss of it. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. All right, I'll be there. I ain't have money. How the fuck am I gonna get to Las Vegas from fucking Denver? All right. So I get back to my desk. Basically I say I'll do it. And I just look up flights. And these flights are expensive. Again, I didn't have like a lot of bread in my account, but I was like, man, take the leap. So I just pulled the trigger and I buy a flight, a round trip out there. I don't remember how much it was, probably like, cause it was like a next day flight. So it wasn't cheap, but I got a flight out there and that shit drained my bank account. But again, like, what the fuck? I asked myself at the time, because again, I was living at my parents' house. Like, what am I gonna use this money on? Fucking snacks, video games. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I did have a car payment to pay and shit, but outside of that, I didn't have too many. Whatever. I get the flight. The next day, I think I called in sick or something, or it was my off day. I don't remember, but I didn't go to work, obviously. I take the flight. No. First, I got to tell you the story. I get home because I got to tell my parents. I told my parents. My dad was super supportive because he kind of has that mentality where he's like, you know, take the leap, whatever. My mom, on the other hand, she's like the super heavy, logical, like thinks of all the potential things that could potentially go wrong, et cetera, et cetera. She's like, why would you want to work out in Las Vegas? Blah, blah, blah. You don't know anybody out there. And she was very much like, what's your plan? What's your strategy? All that shit. Right. Anyway, I didn't let her talk me out of it. I was like, Mom, I already got the flight. So non-refundable. I'm going. Like there's like, I get it. You have concerns, but like, this is happening. So it's happening. So the next day I go. And again, I'm like 18. So it's not like, what's she gonna say? No. Bro, man, you ain't gonna kick me out. You love me too much. Anyway, next day I go, I do the interview, and hey, I haven't done a job interview in a long time, but your boy can talk at an interview. I'll sell a motherfucker on me real quick now. Okay. So I did my thing. I did my chirping, and then I leave. I'm feeling decent about the interview. And I remember, bro, because quality assurance, bro, it's so funny. It's so fucking funny. So you guys know I used to make AMVs, right? I promise this ties into the story somehow. So when I tell you that you can use anything as a talking point in your interview, but you have to be able to make it make sense. Tell me why me making AMVs helped me get a job at 2K. Did your interviewer watch your AMVs? No. But here's how me making AMVs helped me get a job at 2K. So quality assurance, the role of quality assurance is all about noticing small details. Like, because some people think like quality assurance, oh, you're a video game tester, like you just play video games all day. Ah, that's so fun. It's not nearly as glamorous as it sounds, okay? Because this is the example I always give. 8-hour shift, you could have a shift where you need to spend like 3 hours on like a menu, on like the main menu, and try to find issues with the menu. Try to find like button combinations that make the game crash on this specific menu. Try to find like animation errors with how the fucking text is highlighted when you're like scrolling down, like trivial shit. Okay. So the way I was able to like plug myself with the AMVs is like, I worded it in such a way, you know how when you get really wordy to like extend your essay and like a sentence that could get your point across in like 5 seconds, you make it wordy as fuck to sound smart. Like, oh, look at my vocabulary. It was basically on that type of energy, but in real life. And basically I talked about how like with AMVs, you go keyframe by keyframe, and anything that's off, like you'll have to like for example, a motion mask in an AMV, like you literally have to like cut out the character, each individual keyframe, and you can notice if anything is off. Like your attention to detail has to be very high to like put together a good AMV, right? Or at least if you're doing like motion masks and stuff like that. So basically it was something along those lines where like I was kind of like trying to sell my attention to detail with that. I worded it a little better. I don't remember exactly what I said, but it wasn't the main talking point, but it was just something that I mentioned. Because again, my previous jobs were, I worked at a bank and a grocery store. So like why the fuck is a video game developer gonna hire me? So I have to pull some random shit out of my bag to, like, you know, stick out. Anyway, I do the interview. They said, you know, if we're interested, we'll give you a call and follow up, whatever. I get back home the same day. So it was literally like I flew in that morning. I came home that night. And I get home. Oh God. Wait, did I stay the night? When did I? Because I remember there was one story where I got locked out of my hotel, or like they didn't let me in, or I went to the wrong place, and I don't know. God, some random shit in Vegas. Anyway, long story short, I get back home. I'm at work, and then basically they tell me, again, super long story short, they tell me I get the job, but I didn't realize this because my dumbass, I've been a Dragon Ball fan / Yu-Gi-Oh fan for a long time, so I didn't look at the fine print of the job position. It was a seasonal job. Okay. But there's a chance that they would keep you if they really liked you to become a full-time employee. Okay. So the seasonal job is basically, let's say NBA 2K, let's say a game comes out in September, because they make other games. It's not just NBA. They make WWE. They made the Mafia games. There's a lot of games under the 2K umbrella, but we'll just use NBA for example, because that's their most popular game. So let's say a game comes out in September. Actually, let's just say September. If the game comes out in September, crunch time is like the 4 months leading up to September. That's what they call crunch time. And what crunch time is like, holy fuck, the game's release date, publishing date is soon. So we need as many fucking people as possible. And they're going to work crazy crackhead hours. I'm talking like 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, to make sure this game is as perfect as possible by the time that it comes out. That's what crunch time is. That's when you're working like crazy fucking hours. They hire a bunch of excess people. So that's what the seasonal thing was for. Like, they just unload a bunch of people specifically for the task of having a bunch of extra eyes on this game to make sure that it ships in as good a condition as possible. Okay. So I didn't realize that when I did the interview and all that, but yeah, it was like a temporary position, but if they really liked you, they would keep you. So I'm just like, shit, I'll just make them really like me. What the fuck? Easy. That was my mentality. But yeah, they tell me I get a job. And what's funny is, so when I told my mom that I actually did get the job and I'm going to be moving out there and everything, that's when she really pressed me. And not in a bad way, but, you know, just concerned mom shit. Like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to stay? Whatever. And because of all the shit she was pressing me about, I didn't even tell her that it was a temporary job. I just told her it was a job. I didn't even tell her. I did not tell her that it was a temporary position. I just wanted her to think like I'm out there and I'm secure. Okay. So I did not tell her it was a temporary position. Until after I moved out there. What game is it? Is he allowed to tell? Yeah, I can tell you. So the first, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm about to get there. Okay. So I move out there, and the way it works is I have no clout in terms of like my reputation in the game industry. So I go wherever they throw me in terms of which project I'm on. Because again, there's a lot of different games that are being worked on in there. The first game that I'm assigned to is WWE. WWE is the first game that I'm assigned to. And the only knowledge I had of WWE at this time, I was never against WWE, but like, I wasn't super into it either. Like, I knew about The Rock, John Cena, like The Undertaker, but WWE, the game, it spans back to like the fucking like really early days. Like, they have old legend wrestlers and stuff. They got like fucking Hulk Hogan. They had like Sting at one point. They had, or like Sting was in the game. So once I realized, basically they throw me on WWE and I'm just like, okay, I'll figure it out. But a part of my job is making sure that shit is accurate, making sure outfits are accurate on the wrestlers, making sure their moves look good, blah, blah, blah. So I do all this research on WWE, and I just remember my whole YouTube algorithm was just feeding me fucking WWE shit, because I just started doing homework on WWE stuff, right? Anyway, that's besides the point. But yeah, so know how it was a temporary position? We're fast forwarding now. The end of crunch time comes, and crunch time is a motherfucker, bro, because I am working crazy hours. I'm telling you, like, I would show up, I think we started at 8:30 a.m. and we wouldn't get out until like 9:30 p.m. So you're talking about, like, I would get there as the sun is coming up, I would leave when it's dark outside. And that's only if you're on day shift. At one point I had night shift. I think I had night shift first because, again, I had no prestige in that bitch. So yeah, I think I had night shift first. So we would start at 1 or 1:30 and we wouldn't get out until like 12:30 a.m. 12 or 1:30 a.m. or something. So crazy shifts, bro. And that was 6 days a week. 6 days a week. I don't think it's that crazy anymore. I hope it's gotten better, but that's a part of the industry, man. Especially in crunch time. That's just the reality of it. But God, I just remember having a lot of good times there, man. I smoked a lot of weed too. I don't anymore. I don't partake in the devil's lettuce. I haven't in many years, but man, I remember back then. Because, like, I was working crazy shifts, bro. This shit was stressful. Anyway, where was I going with this? So yeah, I wanted to break down my shifts because I'm still doing YouTube on the side, by the way. Or I started doing this channel, or the SeeReax channel, on the side in like 2016. The AMV thing I was slowly phasing out because I got the job in like 2015 and I was still doing AMVs, and I think my last AMV was posted in like 2015, right? And I started doing the SeeReax thing in like 2016, somewhere around there. And I just remember, God, it's no wonder I started getting anxiety attacks. I worked too fucking much. I worked too fucking hard. Because I remember I would literally work on my lunch break on YouTube shit, come back, do 2K shit. I would get off of work, off of one of those crazy ass shifts. And you know, it's funny because, like, before you would leave work, everybody would be like, oh, what are you about to go home and do? And everyone's answer, you know, people that I worked with, everyone's answer is like, oh man, they'd say like, oh, I'm about to go get a drink and, like, you know, just kick back and relax. Usually that was the vibe, like, or I'm gonna go see a movie, or a lot of people just say like, oh, I'm gonna go sleep. Some people be like, oh, I'm about to go roll one up, you know what I'm saying, and just chill. My answer was YouTube. I didn't say YouTube, but I was like, I got a video I gotta edit, or I got a video I gotta record, or something like that. So I would get off of those crazy ass shifts and go work on YouTube. And that would be my reality damn near every fucking day. Because, like, I was grinding, bro. I was working hard, man. What up, Rio? Where that mentality now? No hate? That feels a little bit like hate. You little bitch ass nigga. Hope you're doing well, Rio. No, I can explain that because that is fair. That is fair. But my life is very different than when I was a 20-year-old or like a 19-year-old. Anyway, so I worked at 2K for 2.5 years. I started in 2015 and then I quit. Basically, my mentality with YouTube, because again, I was grinding on YouTube, but I didn't really start grinding hard on YouTube until, again, this is a super long story short, but I found out that I had a baby on the way. Thai shit. Okay? Because when I found that out, I was like, bro, I'm working 12 hours a day. I'm not even gonna see this baby. I'm not even gonna see this baby. If I'm working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, what the fuck? So that kind of motivated me to really start pushing hard on YouTube, because at this time I'm starting to see other people, and I think some people were making jobs off of it before, like earlier, obviously, but I'm starting to notice it becoming a little more frequent, because being a quote unquote influencer was not nearly as common back then as it is now. Like now, I'm not surprised when I run into a motherfucker. Like there's people who say, like in school, like what I want to be when I grow up. Oh, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a, and that shit's crazy to me, because the YouTubers that I started with, that I, you know, like me, that shit wasn't a job when we were a kid. So we all kind of like stumbled into this bitch. But anyway, where was I going with this? Yeah, so that made me want to grind harder. And I'm sorry, this song makes me emotional. Hold up. Shit made me think of my brother. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay. Yeah, so I started grinding really hard on YouTube, and what I told myself is, I was like, the day that my YouTube paycheck matches my 2K paycheck is the day that I quit 2K. And I remember my first YouTube paycheck, that shit was like 63 cents, bro. My second YouTube paycheck was like $5 or some shit. And you get paid monthly, YouTube wise. So humble beginnings, bro. Anyway, it built up, it built up, it built up. And then the day that I got, like, it just barely matched, I told my boss, I'm out. I'm good on this. I didn't even mention all the shit with 2K, because I mentioned like I wanted to make video games and stuff like that, and I was going to get promoted. So 2K did give me amazing opportunities, because again, quality assurance was in Las Vegas, but they gave me a cool role in Cali where like I'm actually around the NBA players. Like I'd be sitting there working, and like a fucking 7 foot, I think I saw Willie Cauley-Stein just walk by. If you guys remember him, that's a deep cut. He just like walked by. So it was like, it was really cool. And I lived in Cali. This was the SeeReax games era. The first SeeReax games on Xenoverse 1 is when I was living in Cali. Just a fun fact. I only lived there for like 5 months. It was like Northern California. But yeah, so there was a lot of cool opportunities, and I could have, I know for a fact, if I grinded hard at 2K, I could have easily like leveled up, and I could probably be there today at like a very high position if I never left. But that wasn't my path. Again, 2K eventually started paying as much, or YouTube started paying as much, and then I quit. And that was a huge leap, because that was scary. I didn't even tell y'all about the purge, bro. Damn, I'm all over the place with this story. Because remember, it was a temporary job, right? It was a seasonal job. At the end of that 3-month stretch, it was the purge. And basically they start, I spoiled the story. Obviously I ended up keeping the job, but the purge is like when they're done with the seasonal employees, they're making picks, almost like a fucking Bachelor reality show. They're making their picks on who made the team, pretty much. And for reference, of my class of like 100 extra heads that they brought in for crunch time / seasonal time, 4 of us made it. 4 of us made it. And it was scary, because every single day, it was like a 3-day purge. Every single day. People that you worked with for the last 3-4 months, they would just get a tap on the shoulder by a manager. They'd walk away with the manager. They'd walk back and they'd be gathering their shit, and then they'd leave. You'd never see them again. It was like every day for like 3 days. At the end of the, so when the crunch period was over, and they're not breaking any rules, by the way, because these are seasonal employees. So they cut a bunch of people because they're done with them. And then if they really fucking liked you, then they'd offer you the full-time job. And like, you made the team pretty much. And I remember being scared, because a lot of these people, remember, I came all the way out here from a different state. I don't know anybody in Las Vegas. other than the roommate who wasn't really a roommate. I guess technically it was a roommate. Basically, I was renting a room out of somebody else's house because it was only like $400 a month. Okay, so that was my rent because I couldn't afford to get my own full ass apartment. Or I probably could have, but it would have been in a sketchy area, but that's another story. So I don't know anybody out here. So it's scary as fuck. Every day I'm on my P's and Q's. It's almost like when you drive by and you know there's a police officer over there and you start holding the wheel, you start sitting up straight, you turn off any sort of hip hop, you know? Like it was almost like on that type of energy where I'm just like on my best fucking behavior because there's people that like I would play pool with at lunch. I would, you know, I was cool with them. I worked with them 12 hours a day, 6 days a week at one point. Like I know these people. Anyway, that shit was scary. So 3 days of the purge, I survived the purge. They offered me the full-time job. I take the job. So I feel like I had to emphasize that arc. Because then if I didn't make it, I don't know if my mom even to this day knows that it was a temporary job. In that there was a good chance that I got fired and I'd be fucking living in my car. I don't even know if she knows that to this day. So like, yeah. Because I know she would have freaked out if I would have told her that at the time. Anyway, I ended up making it, blah, blah, blah. The 2K shit happened, YouTube, and then, yeah, I've been doing YouTube ever since. So that story was all over the place. I felt like I just needed to fill in the blank. Did you have to kiss ass to make the cut? No, you just had to be a good... It was actually a really cool environment. Because, again, going from working at the bank to working at 2K... Like, you want to know what the dress code is? Wear whatever the fuck you want. Pretty much. Just obviously just make it appropriate. But like I could just wear this and just show up to work. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no. But again, at the bank, I had to wear a fucking suit, tie, all that shit. So it was like polar opposite. And it was a chill environment. You could talk to your, as long as you're getting work done, they look at your production. How many bugs are you entering in? How many quality bugs are you entering? How many inaccurate bugs are you entering? Because some people would enter a bug and basically the whole job was like you enter a bug, and the way you enter a bug is basically, say you're playing a game, right? And a lot of people call them glitches. They're bugs, but like we'll call it a glitch for sake of understanding, I guess. Say a glitch happens in a game. Stop what you're doing. Now you got to record that glitch happening. Stop what you're doing. Now you have to figure out how you made that glitch happen and how to reproduce it, because you have to be able to communicate through text to the development department, or like the coders, the modelers, whatever. You have to be able to communicate to the development department how you made that bug happen, how to reproduce it, so they can find where the issue is and how to reproduce it. So you had to be very descriptive, and like it would be shit like, step 1, boot up the game. It sounds silly, but like you have to say that. Step 2, click enter the main menu. Step 3, click this game mode. Step 4, click that, you know what I'm saying? And like step 5, proceed to this area and perform blank animation, and just super tedious shit, bro. And you had to do that. They would count how many bugs you got and the quality of the bugs. Cause like if you're just writing a bunch of like little shit bugs, cause you could write a shit bug where it's just like, oh, I was on the main menu and this color looks a little weird. And like you could technically write that, but like they'll reply to you and they'll roast your ass. They'll be like, that's not a bug. You're a dumbass. You know what I'm saying? And then your supervisor will see that and be like, all right, bro, like you making us look bad because you writing these bitch ass bugs. Get the fuck out of here. So yeah, yeah, you didn't really have to be a kid's ass. You just had to do a good job, because they would look at your numbers. Like they would look at this shit like basketball stats. Like, oh damn, he put up 30 bugs in a day. Oh damn, he put up like only 10 bugs, but like they're all like high priority bugs. Because there's a difference. There's low priority bugs where it's just like a minor visual issue where it doesn't affect the game really and it's not that big of a deal. Or a big issue where it's like, oh, he found a crash and like the game crashed on this part. He even made the console fucking do this, or like shit like that. Those were like the high tier bugs. So like people would judge you based off of like how many bugs and like the quality of the bugs and shit like that. But what if the game is damn near flawless? There is zero game that is flawless early on. Because you got to remember, we're seeing games like 3 years before they come out sometimes. There is no such thing as a game that has no issues early on. What's the craziest bug you found? I found a lot of bugs, but I mean, I've seen a lot of crazy shit. I've seen a lot of crazy shit, man. And what's crazy is even after the game, like, so they only heavily judge. It really depends on where the game is at in development. So for example, if the game just got dropped onto our plate, everyone is expected to find a bunch of fucking bugs every day because the game is like, we just got it into our, you know, in our hands, right? But you're still checking for bugs even after the game comes out. So like the game will finally come out. It's a lot more mellow now. Everyone's a lot more chill. No one's really on edge. We're not doing 12 hours anymore, but we're still looking for issues because you guys have seen, like, you'll play a game and you'll find an issue. So there's always like around the clock people looking for those issues, but there's going to be shit that slips through the cracks that not everyone's going to see in the development department. And you'll see it on a YouTube video, you know, and then that has to be like the day 0 patch or the day 1 patch, because, like, you know, it's one thing to have 100 people looking at the game. It's another to have millions of people day 1 basically indirectly testing the game. So NBA Finals is on. Elimination game. What are you doing? Is it even a close game? Damn, Pacers is dog walking these niggas. It's not a close game. Yeah, I hope the Pacers win, bro. Every WWE 2K game has a bug every year. No, they have multiple bugs. Every video game has bugs that get through. It's almost like, think about it like this. You know how hand sanitizer says kills 99% of germs? It's the same with bugs in video games. You might catch 99%, like there's a billion that you never saw, but people are gonna see that 1%. Like the QA testers will catch a good QA department will catch a bunch of them. But like once they come out, there's gonna be bugs. Every game, every video game, don't care what it is. There's bugs whether you find them or not. Sometimes they're just barely noticeable, so you don't notice them. Like, I don't care if it's like a game of the year. God of War, I'm sure has bugs. Elden Ring, I'm sure had bugs. Tears of the Kingdom, like Nintendo games, I'm sure you could find bugs. Like they might be minor, but they're there. Because you'll always see once they patch the game, they're fixing shit. And there's a lot of shit you don't see that get fixed. $100 testers versus thousands of gamers looking for bugs, basically. Even more, bro. 100 testers versus, and usually it's more than 100 testers, but still 100-ish testers compared to millions of people. Like for, bro, an NBA game? You know how many they sell like day 1? NBA? Motherfuckers buy that shit every year. Will you play something or just chill talking? I have no idea. I just booted up, bro. Let's not start that again. Wait, what are we talking about now? Why you always glaze the shit out of Elden Ring? If you ever played the FromSoft Souls games, you realize how much content is recycled and how creatively bankrupt they are. Instead of wondering why, bro, I think you got to look in the mirror, bro. You might be the problem, because just the slight mention of Elden Ring got you to say that. Like, chill. You're a huge inspiration, man. Great story. Thank you, bro.